Hello ladies and welcome to Girl Talk. My name is Jessica Jade and I'm going to be your host. Today's guest is Liana Naima and she practices Reiki, she does breath work, works with sound healing and energy to help us heal ourselves. Liana, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here with you today.
I'm so excited. This is like my love, so I'm like really excited right now. So let's just jump right in. I know you've been practicing Reiki for a little while now, and sound healing and breath work. And for those of us who don't know, can you just give us a little bit of a background about what that is?
Of course. So Reiki is an energy healing modality founded in 1922 by Japanese Buddhist Mikao Usui. So what a Reiki practitioner does is that they act as a channel for Reiki energy to work through them. And Reiki energy is an energy that's always around us. It's called life force energy, prana, chi, ki, ashe, in various spiritual traditions. So the Reiki practitioner is channeling that energy through connecting with the frequency of earth, through connecting with their crown chakra, and it's working through their hands. So it can be hands-on or hands-off touch, hands-on or hands-off healing, I mean, when you're doing a Reiki session with someone. And
so it could be virtual?
It can be virtual. Yeah, so I do virtual sessions, and how I do virtual sessions is through the unified webbing of life. So even though we can't see the webbing connecting all human beings and everything that's alive, everything is vibration and everything is interconnected. So a Reiki practitioner can be in New York City and can be working with someone in a different country, and they can tap into that person's field from a distance. So I do work with people from a distance, and it's connecting with the vital webbing that's always around us for that energy to reach that person. And I also work with people's spirit guides, and I invite them to make sure that the energy reaches them and works through their system.
So is that what you mean when you say that you act as a vine for divine energy?
Yes, that's what I mean by it.
Because that sounds so beautiful. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's also in my name. So Liana is a rainforest vine. So I sort of really came to spirituality through being a vine in and of itself. I was channeling information. I was sort of just feeling a lot of energy through my hands even before I got Reiki attuned. So it happened that I came online to sort of my extrasensory abilities very quickly. And yeah, that's sort of just why I call myself a vine.
How has Reiki and sound healing and breath work helped you on your own personal journey of healing? Because I think a lot of it sometimes sounds a little bit esoteric to us who don't necessarily know how it works. I'm like, how has it helped you heal in your own life?
I think overall it's helped me create a deeper sense of communication with my body and with the subtle energy always moving throughout my system. So subtle energy, just to explain it further for you, we have the auric bodies, which are sort of like layers of information that's just around us, like the atmosphere around us. And the chakras, which I work closely with, are these major energy centers in the body that relate to our emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental well-being. So your energetic body is communicating to you on multiple different levels, and with this work that I do with Reiki, with sound healing, with breath work, it's just different ways for me to communicate with my system and to create a space of stillness with my system. So there's an array of reasons why people are dealing with suffering, why they're dealing with different personal issues. And an issue is really anything that's preventing you from being present. Right. It's really, if there's anything that's preventing your mind from just being in a space of stillness and presence with life, I consider that an issue. And issues affect us on multiple different levels. So, for example, just an issue of being in fear. Fear impacts your nervous system. Fear impacts your mind. It impacts your ability to think you can or cannot do something.
And your body.
Fear impacts,
physical stress, your heart, everything.
Exactly. So something like just a single emotion like fear is every different layer of your being.
Right.
So I help people essentially release on different layers of their being, like certain mental, emotional triggers, and to really just rest in a space of stillness and presence with life.
So just so you guys know, a little backstory. I've been going to her, your circles, I guess.
My events, yeah.
Your events. She has a lot of events where she brings women together and we do a lot of, she uses sound healing. She uses our breath work. She makes us use our breath work to break through a lot of barriers. And I always leave feeling really, really grounded.
Yeah.
And so when you say that the work that you do to help people understand and reach that level of stillness, I totally get it.
Exactly. I just want people to rest in their own home frequency, and
sometimes
rest in your own body and rest in your own essence, and resting in your essence or home frequency, whatever you want to call it, is just being present to me. I truly everything that I do is for stillness, and I even have that in my Instagram bio. It's for stillness, transcendence, and liberation. I want people to rest in the stillness of their own being in a way that's not from a space of constant suffering, and that involves constant ways of purging and cleansing yourself, whether that's through Reiki, whether that's your sound, whether that's through breath work. These are just tools of cleansing that I view it as. And transcendence for me is you really recognizing that you can transcend the illusions of this reality. So it's an illusion that you have to be in fear for your entire life. It's an illusion that things have to be hard and painful. We're in a very intense and painful time period, social politically right now. And it's how can we be still and present as much as possible to liberate not only ourselves from our own suffering, but to help people be liberated from the suffering that they're working through. So, everything that I do is for freedom. For freedom on multiple different levels, free on a mental level, emotional level, physical level, spiritual level, to just connect with the divine in however which way you choose.
And I think that what I love the most about your practice and what you do and what she brings to our community is that she gives you the tools to do it yourself.
Exactly.
Right? And so right before we started recording, we were talking about how this show came to be. And, I've been practicing meditation for a few years, even before I met you, but I've always struggled with really getting into it. I'm the type of person who's really in my head a lot. And so I've struggled a lot with that. And one day we're actually filming in my bedroom right now, just FYI. And I was laying in the bed that's right there that you can't see. I was laying in bed, and I was really, really deep in meditation. I practice transcendental meditation for the most part. And so I was really deep in meditation, and this doesn't happen to me often, but the moments that it does happen, I'm just mind blown, right? So I'm in this meditation, and I'm not in my head, and I'm not being judgmental, and I'm not thinking about things, and I feel free. I feel liberated. I feel transcendence. And that moment of feeling that way allowed this vision of myself interviewing Liana. Out of all people, it was Liana that I envisioned interviewing, and so it's just kind of comes full circle that we're doing the interview in the bedroom. Where I had the meditation, I had the vision. I think it's meant to be that way. I usually do it in another room, but it was really, really loud over there due to construction. So I think the universe was just making this all come through. Just do it in the bedroom. That's where it all started, girl. So that moment of stillness and that moment of liberation and freedom really allowed me to receive guidance. I don't know if it was my ancestors.
It could have been your higher self.
I don't know what it was, but I let it come in. I let it marinate a little bit, and here we are. So I want to thank you for, I don't know, your spiritual body, something came to me. It came to me in a vision. It was we gonna do this, girl. We gonna make this happen. And so I'm just so thankful for that moment of clarity.
And those are just moments. I mean, there's just so much to talk about with that moment alone, because it's not only were you channeling, because it's you had nothing going on, you know what I mean? And in that moment of perfect stillness, it was this is yours. This is yours in abundance.
It's
this
a gift.
It's just a gift. It's just a gift of inspiration. And it's just in true moments, I feel in that resting of stillness, you can then decide this is it. This feels right. This is a feeling I want to carry with what I'm doing.
Girl, I was on a high. For the rest of that day, maybe that month, I was just so energized. And I think I probably texted you that day, being I want to interview you, and you're
I remember that.
I texted you probably the same day, because it just felt so real and so right.
Yeah.
And, you know,
it's alignment.
Yes.
It really is alignment.
That's what it felt like.
Perfect alignment.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And you have access to this too, you know, and I think we were talking about it earlier. I think sometimes it feels like people who do this work are like you said, aliens. We're like, oh my God, how do they do this? Like, I don't understand. It's amazing. I'm for it, but I don't know how you do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, every human being has extrasensory abilities, but even beyond like the intuitive gifts that people have, it's just through stillness, through you recognizing and just resting in your awareness, and your awareness being like the space in between your thoughts. Your awareness is just pure presence, and pure presence is creation in and of itself. Like, you're creating thoughts, you're creating, you know, your reality in real time, the more you are self-aware. And suffering is due to lack of self-awareness. And when people say in the spiritual community, like, oh, you're unconscious, oh, you're in your subconscious, it's really just because you're not self-aware. And awareness is the gift of in and of itself, is like, oh, this is it.
Right.
So it's not meant to be like super esoteric. I mean, these are a lot of these are just what I'm talking about now is just principles of Buddhism, of mindfulness. So really, it's a way of like self-liberation is through awareness, and you just like being with yourself to see the truth and to just see your frequency and what's coming to the surface.
And you know, Liana was actually named one of Essence Magazine's 2017 Sisters to what is it called? Sisters that help redefine wellness. And as you guys know, this show is all about wellness and the tools that are available to you within our own community, right?
For sure.
So like people like Liana are bringing all of these practices and tools that she's learned over time through experience naturally to help you heal, to help you reach that level of clarity and awareness, right?
Yeah, especially particularly for people of color. You know, within like 6 months of starting my business, I was asked to do the Schomburg Center's Black Lives Matter Youth Conference. And I think that was really telling of the first public opportunity I got was like, oh, you're leading a self-care workshop at the Black Lives Matter Youth Conference. So it was like, the universe was like, don't lose your integrity, like early on. Like, don't forget why I'm giving you this information early on.
This is why you're gifted with this.
Really for people of color. And it's big for me, you know, I easily could be charging more for my services. I easily could be like inaccessible, but I make sure that I've always offered sliding scale sessions. And I've been doing something now in honor of Erica Garner, because she came to me when she passed away last year, just her energy, because she, you know, she was 27 years old and she died of a heart attack.
I mean, that's so telling about the stress and trauma that our people are going through.
In their bodies, you know. And
physical body.
Like it's still... It's very, very painful for me even saying her name. Like, I could probably cry right now, but it's truly, I just always want to make sure that I am accessible to the most marginalized community, because this is not something that's meant to be for only the privileged. You know what I mean?
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and I just want to share that I do offer 4 pay what you can sessions a month in honor of Erica Garner. So those are the sessions available for people that cannot afford one of my regular sessions. And it's been profound. I did it last month. I worked with like 5 women. Usually should be 4, but I worked with 5 women. But truly just like giving people the tools to take care of themselves through what they're dealing with, their financial hardships, is like a break in, it's like sort of like a light is like cracking through, like, oh, I can do this. Like, I can pull myself out of this. I'm empowered with these tools. And when you mentioned earlier, I never want anyone dependent on me. That's just not how I operate. I am no one's savior. I really try to give people the proper tools to like leave 1 or 2 sessions with me and feel like, oh, I got this.
And I think that's important for us to hear. And it's not necessarily that we're looking for the easy way out, but that we don't feel that we're capable enough to heal ourselves. And you know, that's something that I preach as a health coach whenever I meet with any client. I'm like, the tools that I'm giving you are so that you can use them on your own time. There's only so much that I can do. I can only give you the information. But you heal yourself. You know your body. you know, me from the outside, like there's only so much that I can do. I'm here to help you. I'm here as a soundboard. I'm here to create a space for you. And I think that that's one thing that you're amazing at. Like you create spaces, and I've been to multiple events of yours. You create spaces where women of color and people of color can really grow and create community and learn, and then
go on your way.
Do
your thing.
Yeah, and that's amazing because, you know, a lot of the time, you know, the way the society, capitalism, right?
Yeah, it's capitalism, but it's also people wanting to give their power away, wanting quick answers, wanting to feel like there's just fix me, fix me, fix me. And this is a layer by layer, breath by breath, moment by moment process. Like this is not something that's instantaneous. This is really a lifelong process, like self-healing work. And I think it's important that people remember that this is not just something you go to one meditation a month. It's like, how can your entire life be a meditation?
And on like that note, I wanted to ask you, as you know, like self-care is a huge thing for me. Obviously it is for you as well. And I think our audience would be curious to hear, like, what do you do on a day-to-day or on a week-by-week basis to like practice self-care?
Yeah. So I'm honestly not the best person at like routines and rituals, which I think is surprising for people.
It is. I'm like, wait, what?
Confession. But lately I've been like waking up in the morning, doing like energy healing on myself, because I'm trained as a vortex healer now, and vortex healing is a bit different than Reiki because it's connected to like a divine frequency. Reiki healing is connected to the frequency of earth, the energy always around us. So vortex healing is like a bit higher. So every morning I'm doing like vortex around my heart space and just like cleansing my astral body of just like debris that we pick up when we're sleeping.
Or when you're like walking in the train.
The astral realm is wild. It's like, but like the astral realm is like everything in creation. Everything you can imagine is in that realm. So just imagine like the chaotic dreams that people have all the time, and that's another story for another time. But long story short, I like to do energy work in the morning. I typically, just without trying, spend like 1 to 2 hours a day in the meditative state, whether I'm working with a client, whether I'm leading a meditation. I eat really mindfully. Mostly I'm a pescatarian, trying to get better at that. And so like my daily practice, I'm trying to include some form of journaling, some form of energy work, some form of meditation, mindful eating.
So Liana, my last question to you is, what kind of impact do you want to leave on our community, on the world, on the planet?
I want my impact to be rooted in changing how people view freedom, especially for people of color. It's like on one aspect we're dealing with suffering on so many different levels due to white supremacy that we don't, because of all this oppression, we don't really see freedom as like an internal process as well.
You're right.
So I want like liberation to not only be, you know, socially, economically, politically for people of color and like our well-being for us to be able to thrive, but I want it to be like we seek liberation internally from our own internal suffering to be able to exist as like free beings.
And generational trauma is real. Generational trauma is real.
It's very real. It's very real. Generational trauma is very real. And it's also real, the level of difficulty to sort of rise above your family's financial class. So typically if you grew up in like a lower income background, it's nearly impossible for you to ever get out of a low income background. It takes the amount of resiliency and effort to like push yourself out of that is, you know, it's intense. So, you know, on one aspect we just need equality to even be able to pursue, you know, this level of freedom. So my dream is just for sort of a society in which our basic needs are met, and people can pursue like internal freedom.
That's beautiful. Liana, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Seriously, you have made my day. And where can we find you? Where can we find your sessions? Everything that you're doing. You're doing such amazing work.
Awesome. So if you want to work with me in person, And my home office is in Brooklyn, or if you want to work with me online, you can go to my website. It's liananaima.com. If you want to follow me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, it's also Liana Naima. So
Perfect. And I want to thank you guys for watching this amazing episode of Girl Talk, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye. Girls.